everyone. Welcome to the Rockies Now podcast. This is the Rockies recap episode for a series not sweep. I was almost close to saying a series, a almost sweep, but a not series sweep here against the Washington Nationals. The Rockies ended up losing the series 2-1, and also hope everyone had a happy Easter. To all those who celebrate. But before we even get started with the recap here, Ab and I want to do a special tribute to a Rocky that we now hold who has suffered a tragedy. Just in case anybody didn't know, Rocky center fielder Brenton Doyle and his wife Rose tragically lost their unborn child. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Our thoughts and prayers and our hearts go out to Brenton, his wife Rose, and their families. And, we're thinking of you, we're praying for you in this awful tragedy. So, all the best to Brenton and his family.
Absolutely. Brenton, if you ever see this, man, we think the world of you. We know that you're a terrific person off the field and obviously an outstanding baseball player that we hope is with us for a very long time. We hope that there's a movement on social media going around that we want to give you a standing ovation at your next game at Coors Field to show you how much we love and appreciate you and your family. And like Tom said, we're just praying for you, man. And we know it's such a helpless feeling, Tom, in these situations. So Brenton, we care about you a lot, man. We're hoping that, you're able to move forward as soon as possible. Take your time coming back to the team though, because that is something that's way more important.
Yeah, I can give a criticism. I have a family member who went through the same thing with the same kind of tragedy. I know how awful it can be to go through. So again, Brenton, Rose, the whole Doyle family, we are all the best. We're thinking and praying for you. So, that's all I can say. It's absolutely heartbreaking. So,
It is.
But anyway, we wanted to say something again, but Brenton, we're thinking of you. So anyway, let's move on to this recap of the series. So as we all know, game 1 got postponed due to inclement weather because we all know that weather in Denver can be quite rough during this time of year. So let's move off to game 1, which was, if you were looking for offense, this was your game to watch. I know we all were hoping for a big day from Chase Dollander, but unfortunately that just did not happen. He went through a start that I like to call a humbling start for a young pitcher, and he certainly did. He grinded his way through 4 innings, giving up 9 hits and 9 runs, 6 of which were earned. He only had 5 strikeouts, but he did give up 4 home runs. And again, sometimes as a young pitcher, you've got to take your lumps, just take the punches on the chin, get back up, and try to keep going. But on the bright side, well, actually, I don't want to say on the bright side, there were a couple of big hits made in this game. Sean Bouchard had 2 big hits in this game. Most of the Rockies' action did not come until later in the 7th inning when we had a 8-run 7th inning. The Rockies came close to pulling off a miraculous comeback, but unfortunately, the game was ended on a questionable strike 3 call. Anyway, Moniak, he also had 2 hits and 4 RBIs in this game, and Jordan Beck had 3 RBIs in this game as well. The long ball was up. Moniak had the only home run for the Rockies in this game. And of course, as I mentioned, Dollander gave up 4 home runs. Again, this happens for young pitchers. Adam, this is kind of one of those ones where it's like a whoa, like a deer in a headlight look, but we almost came it back. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was you and I, or maybe Steven and I, or all 3 of us that kind of talked about the fact that these pitchers, young pitchers, no matter how talented they are, this is going to happen. So his first start was pretty good, right? Still gave up a couple home runs, and then his second start was outstanding when he struck out 7 guys and had, I think, only 1 walk, maybe 2. And then 2 walks. Okay. And then in comparison to this game, it's just kind of one of those, how they used to say, throw the film away kind of games where you just don't need to really remember that game happened. So that one was That one was rough, but that's something that I've been trying to talk about on my page and through the Rockies Now Instagram. We have to be patient with these guys. They're going to have their ups and downs. It is going to be a roller coaster with not only Dolander, but Veen and Amador and all those guys. We just have to keep playing them consistently. Dolander getting his starts consistently, and I think they'll be fine. But one thing before I forget about this game is the at bat, the questionable strike three at the end with Moniak on third. Now the Rockies did this twice, and we'll talk about the second game here in a little bit. But they left the runner on third, the tying run on third. And for me, the Jordan Beck at bat was lost on the first pitch because he took a fastball right down the middle. And I'm not a professional baseball player, so I'm not here to tell somebody how to swing a bat. But you would have liked to have seen Jordan maybe be a little bit more aggressive on that one and maybe take a hack on that first pitch, because that was the best pitch he saw. The rest were just paint jobs by Finnegan. And so that was a little bit rough, but it was great. And just like the Dodgers game, they're showing signs of life. They're falling behind early still, and that's a problem. And they're falling behind big. That's also a problem. But it was nice, Tom, to see them fight back and not, just not lay down and roll over. But yeah, you had Bouchard with a couple of big hits and Beck, big hits. Moniak is just coming up with big hits left and right, big plays left and right. So that one was encouraging, to say the least. The Rockies are kind of taking some steps here, I think, in the last week or so of finally being competitive a little bit. They may not win all these games because of where the roster is with Doyle and Tovar not being in there. And these young guys kind of on their learning curve right now, but it was encouraging, I feel like. So I didn't really have an issue with that game.
One thing is for definitely sure, this kind of piggybacks off a comment you make. There's definitely growing pains going on with this team right now. There, people, the novice fan, but the diehard fans like you and myself understand there's quite a bit of a learning curve when it comes to going from AAA to the major league. So
absolutely.
So we just want to get, I guess, Steven, of course, our fearless leader, wants to make a big shout out to you and your hat. I don't have one just yet, so we'll have to wait. Mine will be in transit for a later episode, but definitely rocking the hat, Adam, I think is a good thing, considering we'll get to the uniforms later in this
yes,
episode.
Sir.
But anyway, so that was a wrap for game one. Close loss. Now, to me, game two was very kind of, I don't know what the right word is. I'm trying to think of the right word. Odd, strange. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to say it, because again, a couple of I say that because you got defensive miscues, you got some good moments on offense, so it's kind of just like a weird balancing act, I guess you could say. And to what I'm saying, I'll go for the unfortunate part is Kyle Freeland only pitched 2 innings, and it was right when he went out to warm up for the third inning. I'm not sure if one of his, I think it was his fingers. I think it was his index finger or his middle finger. He was having some sort of issue. So that's when, of course, he pulled off, and Chivivi came in to relieve him. But that was not the question. The big story of this game, and I see a lot, and we've probably seen a number of people on social media harking on this guy, but it's only his second start. Braxton Fulford had 3 throwing errors in this game, and they couldn't have come at worse times, particularly 2 of which are in the same inning. However, later that following inning, he did have one of the big moments of probably the biggest moment of his career. Not only was he to get his first hit, but his first home run of his major league career. So that was a wonderful moment for him. But not only that, but also our other top prospect, Zach Veen, not only got his first hit previously, but he got his first home run. And let me tell you, that was a moonshot. He put a beautiful swing on that one. Adam, you can come into this if you want. I love the follow through, just coming straight on through it. I don't know what it is about a lefty who has a beautiful 2-handed follow through. It's just, he's got a beautiful one. That was great. So, but anyway, real quick to go on for it. So, there were 3 runs scored by the Nationals this inning. Only 1 was earned against Kyle Freeland because of the throwing errors. So altogether, this was a competitive game, you could say. The Nationals did have more opportunities. Real quick, they went, I just want to make sure I get this right. They were 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. The Rockies, yes, were 0 for 2, but the Nats, they had more opportunities to blow this game wide open and possibly put in another double-digit run total. But they didn't do that. The Rockies held firm, and I'm not going to blame Braxton Fulford for anything. Errors happen, whether you're playing a great team or a bad team. The Nationals are an okay team trying to become a good team. But again, this is, I guess you could say, a tough loss. The two good moments were our 2 runs, but this one was obviously a tough loss. But again, we'll talk about the game 2, but game 1, it was still, I guess you could say, enjoyable considering that it was also a close game, but we did have a bit of an offensive hangover from game 1. We forgot to bring our offense to game 2 of the series.
Yeah, this is one of those series, Tom, where again, just like the A's, just like the Brewers, well, except for the one game with the Brewers, it felt like the Rockies could have won the series or even swept the series. So it's one of those growing pain things again, where they're in the games, but they're not quite they haven't quite learned how to win the games yet. And by win the games, I mean by win the series or win the majority of the games. And that's something that'll just come with experience with this young team. But yeah, it was great to see Zach Veen. That was a beautiful swing, man. And both the balls that we've seen him hit extremely hard and deep in right field at Coors Field have been on breaking balls like that. And he that's the happy zone for a left-handed hitter. So you can't miss there. The problem with Zach, of course, is that high fastball. He can't seem to lay off of it, and he can't seem to catch up to it quite yet. There's something to be said about that leg kick. When you use a leg kick, you have to get that foot down. Otherwise, everything's going to be off. Your head moves too much. Your swing tends to loop a little bit. So that foot is very, very important for a guy with a leg kick. As somebody with a leg kick myself, I understand how difficult it can be to time that thing up. And then as far as Braxton Fulford, it's just one of those things, man. Yes, it's a result-oriented business, but this guy's a rookie. He's playing in his second start. It was, right? Mistakes are going to be made. And you just have to, good teams will be able to move past those mistakes. Good teams also don't make those mistakes, but good teams, when they do happen, they are able to move past those things. And he did show some mental fortitude in hitting that home run later in the game. So he didn't just roll over and die either. And I think the Rockies are starting to show the makeup of their young players a little bit every now and then. They're still having those questionable at bats, bad at bats, even if you want to say things that you would assume will filter themselves out as we go through this process with these kids. But yeah, that was a game where the Rockies had plenty of chances to win because the bullpen was absolutely lights out and kept them in it. So it was disappointing to not be able to pull that one through. But again, another encouraging effort by the entire team.
No, for sure. And Zach Veen, he is deceptively strong. When you look at the guy, he's not Aaron Judge size, and it's kind of an interesting comparison, but he's deceptively strong. But to your point exactly, he's got a bit of too much of an uppercut swing. I think I think he should level that off a little bit. Now, granted, when you have the follow through, you come up through like a golf swing, but again, to your point, if you have too much of an uppercut swing, it's going to be easy to swipe high fastballs right past you. So, oh shoot, sorry.
You okay?
Sorry, no, something. Oh my hold on.
Sure.
Oh no, can you do you mind if I just step off for a second? I'm sorry about that. No, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, there's my cat found something very interesting there, and she's chasing it right now. Sorry. I'm so sorry, everybody. Anyway.
No, you're good. I was just gonna get to some comments while you handle your business.
Go ahead for just 1 second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so besides the strikeouts that happen every game, the last 4 games have all been competitive, which is something that I was talking about, Lux. This is a step in the right direction for the Rockies. And I think everyone has seen my opinion of Bud Black, and I'm not a fan. But of course, I want these guys, the young guys, to really make a name for themselves and to start making some plays and gaining some confidence so that we can start winning some games. whether Bud Black's here or not, I'm rooting for the players. And so that's a good observation there, Lux. We strike out too much. Too many strikeouts for the Rockies, but you guys don't need me to tell you that because you watch the games. 10 strikeouts tonight, and then 12 strikeouts earlier today, and then 17 strikeouts, guys, in the first game. So if my math is correct, that's what, 39 strikeouts in 3 games. That's not good. That's over 10 strikeouts a game. So the Rockies obviously have to clean that up, but a lot of that is young players, right? So you get to the major leagues and you've got to adjust your approach a little bit. And with Zach Veen in particular, it's just more of a being able to calm yourself down and, as some people would say on the broadcast, stay within yourself. I think Zach's probably putting a little bit too much pressure on himself right now to hit the ball out of the ballpark when he doesn't really need to do that. But I will say that that's something I expect to get ironed out, especially with Clint Hurdle here now. He'll be able to see something like that in a young player's swing and get that ironed out. So I think we're good. Every post Adam says to fire Bud Black. Well, you're not wrong about that. He's just not the right manager for this team. I want a manager who's going to commit to playing the young guys every day. I don't care if there's a lefty, a righty. I don't care if he throws both hands. I don't care. Let these guys play. You can't say that, oh, Zach Veen can't hit left-handed pitching if he never gets a chance to play against left-handed pitching. You know what I mean? And Amador's not going to develop if we're playing Kyle Farmer in front of him. And with all due respect to Kyle Farmer, who's been our best hitter this year, that's not going to sustain if we're being honest with each other. So Kyle Farmer is what he is, right? He should play against left-handed pitching, but he should not be starting over young guys, Amador or any of them, Tolia, even Bouchard, I would say. So, Steven, actually, I want this comment from Steven. Seeing Hurdle at the podium the other day just seems right. So I made a comment on this. I think it was on the Gorilla Sports page. Shout out Gorilla Sports. He just sounds more managerial than Bud Black does, right? It's just one of those things where he understands the frustration of Rockies fans. He knows how passionate we are as fans and how much we want to win. And I think he wants to produce those results for all of us. So I agree with you, Steven. It felt right. I don't want him to be the manager because that's just more nepotism within the Rockies organization. But he did say the right things. And we have our good friend Tom back.
Sorry, guys. I had an emergency. My wife needed me for something. I'm again, to all the viewers and everything, and listeners, I sincerely apologize. My wife needed me for something. I'm really sorry. So, but anyway, hopefully I didn't miss anything overly exciting. But anyway, I guess we can move on to game 3 real quick.
Sure.
Unless you want to talk about the Clint Hurdle thing before we get to that, probably we'll save it for after the fact.
I was just touching on it because of the impromptu situation. But if you had something to say on it, we could do it, or we can bring it back.
It's nice to see him back in the dugout, as I commented on social media. But again, he talked about action. Again, actions do speak louder than words, so we'll have to see if more action is applied. And you could say more offense came out in his first game with the Rockies back in the dugout, but we'll have to wait and see how.
17 strikeouts, though, so there's still that problem.
That's still a whole nother setup for that anyway.
Crazy. Yeah.
Anyway, so let's quickly move on to game 3. This was unfortunately the rescheduled game from Friday. And this was a bit of a more, how do I say, it was, again, another competitive game, but it was a low-scoring game. So if you wanted a pitcher's duel, that's what this is. Antonio Sensatella went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits for 1 earned run. Again, people comment only 2 strikeouts, but he's not a strikeout pitcher. He's a ground ball pitcher. So at the end of but altogether, Moniak, let me just double check here. No, he did not. No, yeah. Again, Aaron Schunk got the start today after coming up in place of injury. Like I said, to go back to a little bit to your point about the strikeouts, we had 17 in game 1, 12 in game 2, and this one a little bit less with 10 strikeouts in game 3. The one thing that was unfortunate that I thought was a little unfortunate, but again, it's more growing pains. Zach Veen, after hitting a towering home run in game 2, here he ended up with a hat trick. His batting average is now down to 118, and Amador is now down to an even 100 after going 0 for 3 today. Now, Adam, I do agree with you. To me, I'm no expert. I've never worked in player development. I know you talk about, we all talk about you got to let the kids play, but I ever wonder what is the tipping point for each direct GM or director of player development when it comes to what is the tipping point when things could be a little overwhelming for a particular prospect? I'll let you give your thoughts on that in a second, but again, it was good the Rockies avoided the sweep to win the finale of the series. We'll get to the next series in just a moment. The Rockies now stand at 4-17, and of course, that's good enough for last in the NL West. So, again, Adam, I was just like curious what your thoughts are as far as what you think a tipping point could be.
Yeah, I think we're at, I think something like 30, 32 at bats or something like that for Zach at the major league level now, and so. I don't think I think it's still a very small sample size. I think Drew Goodman even alluded today that Amador's only got like 53 at bats now at the major league level. So even he, that's a small sample size too. I think it's a little bit early if the Rockies were to try and pull the trigger on sending Veen back down, just simply because the sample size is not large enough. And if we consider the fact that he hasn't played every day that he's been up, I think that can be detrimental to a player's growth and development. I think that if you're going to bring up a top prospect, he plays no matter what. No matter if it's left, right, doesn't matter. You got to get him in there. And then if we're at the point where we're getting closer to like 75, 80, 100 at bats, and we're still on that steady decline where the strikeouts are really high and we're still not getting on base and things like that, I think that's when you'll start maybe considering sending Veen back down. But the Rockies have to give him a chance now to adjust to the new hitting coach. So I think it would be unfair to fire Hensley Mullins and then say, hey, Zach Veen, you got like a week with Clint Hurdle, and then if you don't fix it, we got to send you back down kind of thing. One of the things I am concerned about with Zach Veen, though, is he's bunting in very inopportune situations. Or at least squaring to bunt, 2 outs, runner on first base, hitting in the 5 spot in the lineup, and you're there to drive in runs. You're not there to bunt so that we can get whoever it is behind you up at the plate. Who was that tonight? That would have been Beck. And with all due respect to Jordan Beck, that's not your job in the 5 spot. Your job is to drive the ball and to get guys driven in. So that was an interesting situation. He's done that like 4 or 5 times now, where he just comes up and squares the bunt. And in a time where the league doesn't really value bunting, I think those have been interesting decisions. As far as bunting, though, that kind of segues me into the Amador play. That's a baseball play in that situation because you're bunting your teammates over to try and score an insurance run, which they were able to do. Amador is really known for his ball to bat skills, so I'm not too concerned about him right now. He's striking out a little bit more than he was in the minor league level, but I think he will level out. He's just a contact hitter. He'll be fine. He also needs to calm down. But to get back to your original point, Tom, I think the Rockies just need to pull these kids aside. And I think Bud Black alluded to it in his press conference. They're trying too hard. They're trying to do a little bit too much every single time they come up to the plate. And that's something that you have to deal with a young player. But as a coaching staff, that's something you have to get under control as well. So I think the Rockies will give these guys a fair shot, or they need to give these guys a fair shot before making any sort of decision. But again, Beck, Veen, Amador, those guys need to be in the lineup. I'm not interested, with all due respect to Nick Martini, I'm not interested in watching him take at bats. They're irrelevant at bats for what the Rockies are trying to do this season. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Tom, but we've got to let these kids play.
No, I don't disagree with you at all. It's a fair point on trying to do too much. And you not only see that from young guys, you can see that from veterans too, but you can especially see it with young players because, they want to prove themselves. That's very understandable. You want to show, hey, I belong here, regardless of what team it's with, whether you're on the Rockies or the White Sox or you're on the Yankees and the Dodgers. Doesn't really matter. You want to prove you belong. And I agree. You got to keep giving them the opportunity, but you're the one who, of course, I will eat crow a little bit to your comment that Bud Black will kind of hold guys out of the lineup a little too much than we would like. So again, you win that one. You win our little text chain. You win that. I'll give you a point on that one. But I just would like specifically, I would like to see Amador in against both lefties and righties because again, he's a switch hitter specifically. That's why I say that. But I'm not the manager. I'm not in the clubhouse. I don't know what's going on. And, as much as people want to say fire Bud Black, I don't see it given again, I'm not trying to lobby for him to stay the whole season. This is most likely going to be his last year, but that's a whole separate discussion. But to the main point is it was nice to get out of here with the sweep as we go for it. So anyway,
I just want to shout out, and Lux brought it up.
Okay, go ahead.
The bounce back of Tyler Kinley. I have been the number one hater, if you will, of Tyler Kinley. So now I have to give Tyler Kinley his flowers when he performs because he was filthy tonight. And I believe he's now on 9 innings in a row, scoreless. So that's what we need at the back end. If him and Halverson can start, keep pitching the way they have been, the Rockies could be pretty dangerous there at the end. Kinley's, of course, one of those volatile, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Relievers where when he gets on a run, he's great, but when he's bad, he's really bad. And so shout out Tyler Kinley. He was outstanding tonight, and we really needed that win tonight. So
well, we really needed somebody to step up because, like I said, Vodnik is on the IL officially, so we need somebody, whether it's Halverson, whether it's Kinley, because it's going to be a closer by committee. And of course, we haven't had many safe situations, so we don't know who the official closer is. So, but again, I guess it's just because, to your point about that, it's just in the past we have so many bad memories of Tyler Kinley. Just to your point, when he's bad, he's awful. And, that's just to that point. So either way, so real quick. So thanks for a shout out to Lux in the comment. Also, he commented now he wants to get a City Connect. So Adam, not only the game, I think you've given the throw. Also, Sean in the comments here made a comment about the uniforms. They look great. Let's just do a little bit on that. I think they look fine. It's all good. I mean, again, if you give me a choice between the OGs and these ones, I pick the OGs. But again, these aren't awful. These are better than some of the awful ones in the original release by Major League Baseball. And again, as everyone sees, Adam is wearing the hat. So Adam, I think it's good given now we've seen him in action. So what do you think? I mean, even when they're dirty, like again, with making that diving play out there in the
Yeah. So my gripe the whole time, well, originally the gripe was, where's the rest of the jersey? Because at the bottom, when we saw the leaks, it was like nothing. I was like, is there going to be a number down there or what's going on? But they ended up having a number, and it looks magnificent. The back looks really good with all 3 colors. You got the purple name, you got the blue and the purple on the back, and then the yellow number. I think it looks great. My only gripe now with the uniform is that the pants should not be white. They should be purple or blue because there's no white in the top. There's no white in the hat. So that's my only gripe, and I think it would look like really cool. And actually, I have maybe one other. I would prefer if it said Blake Street or Denver or Mile High City or something instead of Rockies, because it doesn't feel very City Connect when it just says Rockies. But I think if it would have said Blake Street, that would have been super cool. But you have to choose your battles. So I think they look fine. I already bought one. I think you saw me wearing it on the pod the other night. I'm gonna get probably Doyle. on it. Sometimes I like to get my own name on jerseys though, because I'm not going to get traded. You know what I mean? So like, I don't have to worry about that. But I think Brenton Doyle has solidified himself as a solid player, whether he's here for a long term or not, because he's won multiple Gold Gloves and just an outstanding dude in general. So I think they look good.
No, I like him too. And to your point, I'm always leery about or hesitant when it comes to buying player jerseys because, again, couple of times I've done that, and that player is either released in free agent, released out of his contract, or traded. So, but yeah, I'm gonna buy me at least a shirt for sure. So
I bought. Well, I'm sure people will be happy to know, Tom. I bought the jersey. I bought this hat. I bought the purple Rockies hat. It says Rockies across the top. I bought the sleeveless hoodie, the shorts, the purple hoodie, and one other thing I can't remember. I'm all in with the colors are gorgeous, man. So I wanted to get all the gear. I'm gonna get those socks too because those are sweet.
I'll have to admit those are some pretty good looking socks. They do how the blend is from top to bottom, how it's like a flow. I like that look. But I remember, did our OG City Connects, they didn't have official socks, did they? They was just green, was it? Or do you?
No, they had socks too.
They did. Okay, I just remember. Maybe I shouldn't see too many of our guys wearing them. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, no, they definitely had specific socks for those.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, anyway. Yeah. Okay, let's transition over to the standings just to give everybody an update on the NL West. At the end of today, the Padres are leading the division at 16-6. The Dodgers are right behind them at 16-7. The San Francisco Giants are on third at 14-8. The Arizona Diamondbacks, who are on a bit of a hot streak, going 7-3 in their last 10 games, they are 13-9. And the Rockies are the only team with a losing record. I already said the record. I don't want to repeat it. So
playoffs are still on, baby. They're still on.
As you and I and Stephen have all commented, anything is possible until you officially have the eliminated or you're mathematically eliminated, you could say.
Yeah, I don't think the Diamondbacks thought they were going to make the World Series with 2 weeks left in the season a couple of years ago. So you never know, man. Young team, get hot at the right time. Make me look a little bit better.
or you get it, or you just, as they say, just get into the playoffs, and you never know what could happen. You can go on a run. I mean, I remember, I think it was 2004. I believe the Steelers were the last seed in the AFC, and they rode it all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they came through Denver to do that in 2005. Yeah, thanks for that, Tom.
Oh, sorry.
Too soon.
Oh well, the Steelers aren't exactly holding their heads high at this point right now. So
no, they're not.
But that's we can have that talk on a different podcast. So
who are we playing next?
That's what I was about to so good transition right into it. So tomorrow, of course, is an off day, Monday. So because we have a travel going on, so we're going to Kansas City. Game 1 is going to be on Tuesday. That is a 5:40 p.m. Mountain Time first pitch. It'll be Ryan Feltner for the Rockies against Bubic for the Kansas City Royals. And for Game 2 on Wednesday, that is again a 5:40 p.m. Mountain Time start. We have Herman Marquez going up against Michael Lorenzen. And then we have on Thursday the series finale. This will be a travel day. This will be a getaway games day start, 12:10 p.m. Mountain Time. It'll be Jay Stolander trying to rebound from Game 1 of the series, going up against Cole Reagans. So some interesting pitching matchups. Like I mentioned in our pre-show meeting, the Kansas City Royals. Again, you're talking to also a White Sox fan who's watching the AL Central. There are 3 teams currently who have a losing record, only 2 teams with a winning record. The Kansas City Royals, some would say, are underperforming as to what maybe was expected of them at this point. They are 2-8 in their last 10 games. So we're catching them on a cold streak. So maybe we can sneak in our first series victory of the season here. They're definitely winnable. They have some guys struggling. Bobby Witt is not having the start that people expected. Salvador Perez is struggling a little bit, but again, that could be Father Time catching up to him a little bit. Adam, do you think we can win this series?
Well, first and foremost, after you listed the starting pitchers, I will be interested to see, and again, I'm pleading with you, Bud Black, are you going to play Zach Veen when there's a lefty on the hill? Are you going to play Jordan Beck when there's a righty on the hill? We have to be able to see what these guys – he treats them as if they're established veterans that we already know whether or not they're going to be able to hit versus left or right, and I don't think that's the correct way to go about things. But as far as your question is concerned, Cole Reagans and Chase Dollander should be a really good one. I think that will be for the series. I think the Rockies will pull one out, one of the first two, and I think the Rockies will have a chance to pull that series out on getaway day. Will they be able to do it? That's pretty tough because Cole Reagans is one of the best, most talented young pitchers in the league, and I don't know what the Rangers were thinking when they traded him. But I think that the Rockies are going to have to get the bats going, obviously. Bobby Witt Jr. is not playing Bobby Witt Jr. baseball right now. And the Royals in general in that lineup, I think they just sent down MJ Melendez, so that he was really struggling. And besides Witt, Salvador, Perez, and Pasquantino, they really don't have anything in that lineup, to be honest with you, until they call Caglione up later this year, which he's just going to be a force, in my opinion. But I think that I'm hoping that the Rockies can pull out a series here, but you never know. If Bobby Witt gets hot, it could be a problem. Did you see that whole Peralta just got option thing that came across from Lux?
I did. Jaden Hill was called up today to be part of the 27th man for the doubleheader. As far as Peralta getting option, I have not seen that. Well, why don't we just continue to chat for a little second? I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, I don't understand that decision, if that decision was made.
I'm looking, trying to find that in my notes. Sorry, not in my notes, but anywhere on. I'll have to check social media later. I didn't because there's no direct thing for me coming. Oh, never mind. I see it here on RotoWire. Yes, I guess he was optioned to AAA just a few moments ago here. I don't see. Oh, I guess this is in lieu because, like I said, Jaden Hill was called up to be the 27th man for a doubleheader because everybody knows you get an extra man for a doubleheader day. And instead of sending him back to AAA Albuquerque, they decided to send Luis Peralta instead.
I'm not sure I understand that decision.
So Jaden Hill will travel with the team to Kansas City, whereas Peralta will join the Isotopes. Not exactly sure why. Maybe there's an options thing. Maybe it's an innings thing. That's what I'm just spitballing ideas. I don't know. I'm not sure if Jaden Hill has one or two more options left. I'm not sure. I have to check. I know that I think Peralta had 3 or 2 left. But maybe they were looking for Hill to cover some innings that Peralta might have not been able to do so. I don't know, but it's definitely a strange roster move.
Actually, now that you bring that up with the Kyle Freeland situation, that may have something to do with it because there's just no performance reason, in my opinion, so far that Peralta should be optioned. But that would make sense, is what you just said.
But then again, I don't think we got an official word if Kyle Freeland needs to go to the IL yet, which I'm sure we'll get on either the off day or on Tuesday. We'll have to wait and see if he travels with the team, and but that could be Peralta. Either Peralta's. I'll have to check it later, but that could be Peralta. He still has options or something. But yeah, it's probably has something to do with the fact that they need extra innings covered. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I think Steven makes a good point here. He may be out of options. Jaden Hill.
Let me. I'll see if I can. While we're talking here, I can see. I'll see if I can check.
Sounds good. Well, in the meantime, guys, back to the Kansas City series. I think Michael Toglia is about to go off starting in that series. That's our guy that we really need to get going in the middle of the order if we're going to start scoring some runs. So I'm really looking forward to that. But we can see all you guys that are watching the podcast right now, and we just want to say thank you. We know it's been a rough season so far, 4 and whatever, doesn't matter.
I'll just real quick, I'll interject. They actually, Peralta and Hill both have 3 options. So that's not an options issue.
It could be a multiple innings type situation because I think that they might be bracing for a Freeland IL stint.
Well, as Steven, as our fearless leader again points out, Freeland has had blister issues in the past. So we'll have to wait and see how it heals up. Again, there are ways you can seal up a blister, but if it cracks, I do know if it cracks open and it gets to a certain level to the point where blood comes out, then of course you have to come out of the game. And
Yep.
I don't think he was bleeding. It was just causing him an issue. So
I'm not sure.
but either
we'll find
way,
out.
well, he's not. As I just recall, he is not starting in this series. So if anything needs to be done, he gets some extra rest time. So because I don't see him pitching in a relief situation.
Head scratching move for Peralta. I guess we'll get some more clarity on that later this week. But I was just saying, it's been a rough season, Tom. It may be an even rougher season than it has been so far.
Yeah.
But we are here for you guys. We know how dedicated you are to Rockies baseball, and we are too. We're going to watch all these games no matter how the team performs, no matter how difficult it might be to watch them sometimes, especially when the two best players on the team are not playing. But we appreciate you guys sticking with us. We're going to do our best to be as positive and as helpful as we can as we go through the season. And hopefully, Tom, they start turning it around here soon.
Positive vibes only. That's where it is. And also, one point I wanted to make here: the game one starter for the Rose. His name is Chris Bubich. I only said his last name. I just want to make sure. I just double check. Want to make sure I get his name right. So, it's Chris Bubich is the first.
And he's a lefty.
Yes, correct. And so we'll see how that goes because we have quite a few lefties in our lineup. So it's interesting to see which lefties are going to be in the lineup to start the game. I hope that Zach Veen is one of them.
Me too.
If we play more than one, which most likely we will. So anyway, I think that'll be it to wrap this up. First of all, as Adam pointed out, we have 88 people here watching us live. We want to say, again, I know this is a little late than our normal Sunday Rockies recaps due to the fact that today was a doubleheader. So I think we definitely want to say thank you so much for tuning. Now we're up to 90. So we definitely want to say thank you so much for tuning in here on this holiday evening. Again, we really appreciate it. Of course, we know this is a tough season, as Adam just alluded to. We are trying to keep things as positive as possible, while at the same time being critical because there are issues with this team that we believe should be corrected. But that's a whole separate podcast in and of itself. So, but anyway, so I think that'll do it for this episode of the Rockies recap for the Washington Nationals. Again, the next series is a road series against the Kansas City Royals for 3 games. So that recap will be on Thursday. Stay tuned to find out which of the two. Oh yeah, Adam, did you have something to say?
Just one quick thing. Sorry.
Yeah,
if
go ahead.
You guys are going to be at the Red Series, I'll be there on Saturday. If you guys want to say hey, I'll be there on Saturday for the Dante Bichette game.
So there you have it, guys. Rockies now will be represented in the next home series.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead now.
No, you're good. Hey, when we're represented, we want to make sure we let people know ahead of time so they can come for sure. For you. So anyway, so that'll wrap it up, guys. As we always, thank you for tuning in and listening and watching. And be sure to, if you are not subscribed to us, be sure to do so on Instagram, X, and Threads, and be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube channel if you want to stay tuned for any Rockies videos as they're released. And of course, Adam and our Twitter X handles are right there down below. If you want to follow or reach out to us and have a conversation, we welcome that too. So that'll do it. Everyone, have a good evening, have a good night, and have a good week. And as always, go Rockies.